The series is tied. The Jazz are alive. Bojan's a hero. And Donovan passed to Rudy for the game winner. It's all coming up on Postcast. David Locke along with Ron Boone as the Utah Jazz have tied the series at 2 games apiece in a stunning, surprising win over the Dallas Mavericks. Only stunning and surprising because Luka Doncic hit a 3 to put the Mavericks up 4, and it sure seemed like it was over. And the series was 3-1 to the Mavericks, and the last rites were going to be read to the Jazz as they headed to a funeral in Dallas. But instead, it is tied at 2 apiece as Donovan Mitchell got his own rebound, put it back up and in, and made the free throw. Then Dwight Powell missed 2 free throws. Then Donovan with a beautiful pass and a great dunk by Rudy Gobert, and then the Jazz forced it out of Luka's hands late. Donovan closing on Spencer Dinwiddie, and the Jazz get the win. There's a lot to talk about, but let's talk about the close first, Ron Boone.
Yeah, the close was something fans like to see if you're the home team, that's for sure. But what a more exciting basketball game for the team. For the TV, the people that's listening to us on air or watching it on TV, a photo finish for the most part. But it's the free throws that was missed, the lob pass that Rudy was able to get, and you know, as far as make it the game winner. But these are ball games that guys like you get excited about.
Well, you get excited too, by the way. And you've been in the league for 40. This is your 47th year, over 50 years in the game.
Yeah.
So, like, if it gets you excited, certainly. That does. Wow.
My biggest kick, though, is the execution of the play, you know, and because they're professional players out there. I mean, they're supposed to make certain plays out there. There are like 95% plays out there that should be executed and should be made at the rim. But it's the execution of the plays I think I get excited
Well, let's talk about, because the lob to Rudy takes a lot. Donovan has to do a lot of different things right in that play to make that play. So one of the things that was maybe the most important was that they switched, which they have not done in those circumstances very often. They usually will drop Powell, but Powell came out to Donovan. And then usually in that circumstance, Donovan says, I'm going to take you because I can take Dwight Powell. But instead, he reads that Rudy's gotten behind Finney-Smith. And that was a hard lob over Powell to get it up to Rudy Gobert, and a pretty good catch and dunk. But Donovan has to make a lot of reads right there, correctly.
Exactly. And plus, he had to split 2 defenders, if I remember correctly. The defenders wasn't that close, but he still had to get between 2 defenders. And then he had the defender on his back for the most part. But the lob pass probably wasn't a perfectly thrown lob pass because it wasn't directly at the rim. It was about a couple of feet off the rim, but fortunately, Rudy was going toward the basket to the point where he had to catch and still reach. It was just one heck of a play by Donovan, but one heck of a play there by Rudy being able to catch and finish.
And then the final play, Brunson brings it up instead of Doncic as the Jazz denied Doncic the ball. Then they got it to Doncic. He dribbles to the right side, and the Jazz have 2 guys on him. He wants his step back left, and the Jazz kept someone on his left shoulder, so he couldn't get to it. So he swings it to Dinwiddie, and as Rudy has done multiple times in his career, he understands time and score so well.
Right.
A pretty massive closeout by Rudy. Dinwiddie not a great shooter, and Dinwiddie misses it, and the Jazz win, and not only that, are alive.
And another perfectly executed anyway, defensive stance there, because you're absolutely right. Luka wanted to dribble right, come back to the left, and probably shoot the 3-point shot. But the fact that the Jazz had doubled, and then the most important thing is that it was in a short clock. Remember, they had 11 seconds on the clock, but they still picked the Mavericks up full court. So, I mean, the clock started on the front end of the floor, which means they wasn't able to get into their offense about 5 or 6 seconds on the clock. The clock time was not their friend.
I got to give a shout out to this message. Robert says he listened covertly, nice word, in a church earbud in a church meeting, sitting on the edge of his seat, alert the whole time. Must have thought I was really into the meeting. Robert, I got to know, when that ball goes in on the Rudy Gobert dunk, or when Dinwiddie's 3's no good, how do you hold it together in a church meeting? How do you possibly do that? There's no chance you're holding that together in the church meeting. The star of the game for the Jazz. There's going to be all the talk about Bogey. Robert, please let us know. There's going to be all the talk about of Gobert, and the Donovan to Gobert pass will get overplayed. It was a great play. It'll get overplayed because the stupid storyline that's been out there all the time. And I agree with what Donovan had to. I agree with what Rudy had to say on the post game on TNT. By the way, I just let everyone know.
You can't say that.
But I'll say this: the hero of this game is Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yes.
And I made the comment in game one, in a dark clutch alley of a playoff game, I want to be having Bojan Bogdanovic on my side. He set the tone. This is a weird example, but Russell Westbrook has all sorts of flaws in his game.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that you have to play hard if you play with Russell Westbrook because of how hard he plays.
Right.
Bojan Bogdanovic played so hard tonight, it forced everybody else on that roster to play that hard.
Yeah, and just think, he started off guarding Brunson wherever he was on the floor. Brunson's been averaging, if I did the numbers there, about 11 points a game in the first quarter, somewhere in there, and Bojan holds him to 4 free throws in that first. So that got things started, I think, defensively, and you're absolutely right. He was just flat out after him and still was able to chip in 12 points in 38 minutes. So that was a remarkable.
The ball movement was so much better today from the Jazz. What do you see in that regard?
Well, they had 17 assists, and I think you and I talked about this before the ball game, that 17 assists doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't some good ball movement or anything like that. So 15 for the Mavericks. So it was a little different of a ball game than what we've been saying. But I think defensively, we probably have to give the Jazz more credit than what we saw offensively.
Luka's amazing. He was incredible. That step back three over Gobert was ridiculous because I swear if it was into a golf hole, it would have gone in with a basketball. It just was so dead center. But they do try to protect him defensively. Both they always do, and because he's coming off the calf. And so they were soft doubling, and it made the Jazz move the basketball. Like there is an element where Luka's return defensively allowed the Jazz to move the basketball differently than they've been doing in the series, and doesn't allow Dallas to play the same 1 through 5 switching defense with 5 good defenders.
Exactly. I mean, that's adjustments, all about adjustments there, and then biting into the adjustment that the Jazz made. Now, Dallas Mavericks did a great job. I thought they gave themselves a chance to win. Fortunately, the Jazz did a little better job and ended up winning the basketball game.
What did you think of the impact on the series going forward with Luka back and how great he is?
Well, was it a slower paced basketball game? It was. Did I call them the 3 wing players for the Dallas Mavericks, did they have great nights or great 3-point shooting nights like they've had in the first basketball game? Not Dinwiddie didn't score, I think, until the fourth quarter. I think he only ended up with 2 points somewhere in there. He ended up with 5 points, and he was 2 for 9. He did not get any attempts, 1 for 5 from the 3-point line. So that equation was taken out largely because of the minutes that Luka played. But the other 2, Bullock and Smith, especially in that fourth quarter, Smith didn't score, only 2 points for Bullock there as well.
If you're a Mavericks fan and you're looking at this game, you're talking about a few things. You're talking about Luka's return. You're also talking about Maxi Kleber's foul trouble.
Right.
That was the same way Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson got in foul trouble in game 2, and it really swung that game.
Right.
Maxi Kleber's foul trouble changed the game. Powell ends up playing much more. He does play better with Luka than without Luka. And then Davis Bertans foul trouble. They couldn't stretch the floor quite the same way in this game that they did in other games.
Exactly. And I think Maxi, it was 3 fouls in the first quarter, first half, or something like that. Really made a big difference because he's been having such a great series there, shooting the 3-point shot. 0 for 2 in the fourth quarter from the 3-point line by him.
I almost just punched Sharon Bolchak right in the jaw. I was trying to give her a fist bump, but she didn't see it. They would have called it a common foul, nothing flagrant, no demonstrative act. The Bolchak clan leaving, everyone happy.
So Cleaver only ends up 1 for 4 from the only got 4 shots up and only was able to stay out on the floor 18 minutes.
Jordan Clarkson's another one. I thought he's played great all series, but he was really driven in an interesting move. I mean, Quinn Snyder with desperate. I mean, I'll hold to it. If we lose tonight, it's over. It's over. And I don't know what over meant, but it was over in the series, and who knows what else. But he rolled it tonight. Like Mike Conley was not great. And then defensively, Mike Conley has such a hard time with Jalen Brunson that they did not bring Mike Conley back into the game in the fourth quarter until the final seconds on an offensive possession.
When Clarkson gets it going, Quinn rides him a lot of times. And the fact that Conley was not having such a good night, having problems getting a shot off, and Clarkson had it going. He was rolling. So you got to trust that. They trusted all season long with Clarkson and his style. Some people don't agree with it, but it's worked for him and worked for the Jazz. And I don't know if this is season high minutes for him, but boy, he
Maybe.
had the
36.
36
Unless it was
minutes.
one of those COVID games where he may have played over 40.
Yeah, ended up with 25 points, and just 3 for 5. And that three that he made late in that fourth quarter was huge.
Jazz win it. Series tied at 2. Did we forget anything? Shooting numbers are interesting this one because Dallas by the end gets up to 15 to 44 for 3 for 34%. Jazz still only shoot 29% from 3, but they do get 35. Donovan had been struggling in the clutch, makes 2 big baskets late, one off his own rebound and miss, and a layup on his own creation, and an assist. Rudy, who had a miserable game at the line, either 2 of 6 or 2 of 8 or 3 of 8 down the clutch, 3 of 8 down in the clutch, gets the dunk and the closeout to finish it. Bojan, masterful. So all of it, a lot of storylines, a lot of interesting aspect to it. Series tied at 2. Jazz still have a very tough task, which is to win a game in Dallas at some point in time. But the season is back, and the Jazz tied up at 2. We'll see what happens. Can the Jazz go get one more in Dallas, either a game 5 or a game 7, and can they win game 6? But a lot of excitement around it. We'll see. So thanks very much. Locked on Jazz will come to you Monday morning from Dallas as we fly back to Dallas tomorrow.
You just put your iPods in when you're at church and listen to us.
Right. Have a good one. Everybody it'll be good stories at church tomorrow in Utah. Have a good one.